TV, Indiana's only statewide TV news network. This is a Storm Track 8 weather alert.
And we start now with that weather alert. Dangerously high temperatures sweltering Indiana for nearly a week. Today, the heat index saw temperatures reach around 100 degrees.
A heat advisory is in place for the entire state through Friday, as we also track that chance of rain tonight. Now, we have team coverage for you tonight. Let's first start right to Storm Track 8 Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson with a look at those rain chances, Keith.
Yeah, heat's been one problem, and now we have some afternoon storms that are becoming another problem. You can see this downpour north of the Speedway right now with our live camera network here. So let's go on in and see where the rain is falling right now. And this is Storm Tracker to the north and west near Brownsburg and the northern part of the metro. We have some intense downpours, thunder and lightning. Wind gusts could be 40 plus. We've had a few rogue severe thunderstorm warnings today for some wind gusts that could have been around 60 miles per hour. Another batch of storms rushing out towards Rushville here, southeast of Greenfield. And this is the bigger picture. Scattered rain and storms with a lot of outflow boundaries interacting, producing some new showers and storms. So we are getting some relief in terms of some breezes and some rainfall, but southern Indiana, the northern part of the state, seeing a lot of sunshine. And if you have not had rain, it is much, much hotter. So there is the heat advisory again for most of the state for the rest of the week. It feels like 102 in Bloomington, no storm. 77 in Indianapolis because we've had the storm, 100 in Kokomo, again, no storm. So it really just matters where you live, and that pattern is going to continue for the rest of this week into your weekend, and then things start to improve going into next week, so it's not going to be as extreme in just a few more days. But for this evening, scattered rain and storms, much cooler if you've had some storms, and it's a little bit breezy if you are getting a storm right now. I'm back with more coming up.
All right, thank you, Keith. Now we turn to News 8's Malia Van Ostrand checking on a spike in heat-related illnesses at local emergency departments. Malia.
Yes, so hospital staff at Community North says they've noticed an uptick in those heat-related illnesses. They're also saying that they want people to take this heat seriously and be aware of any kind of warning signs that could lead to potential life-threatening situations.
We've seen a handful of heat injuries coming into the emergency department over the last week or so, especially with this extreme heat we're experiencing.
Those illnesses range from muscle cramps to heat exhaustion to strokes as temperatures soar across the region.
Some of them actually requiring admission into the hospital as an inpatient. We're definitely seeing more volume related to heat than we typically do at this time of year with the heat dome and everything that we have on top of us.
Malik says it's important to watch for signs of serious illness, which aren't always obvious at first.
Like if you are yourself or with somebody that is having a change in level of consciousness, they're vomiting and they're not able to keep fluids down, they're getting confused or sleepy and exposed to the heat, then you definitely want to bring them out of the heat, get them as cool as you can, and call 911 to get those resources to you to start cooling them.
Malik warns that children and the elderly are most at risk as the temperatures rise.
They have less ability to compensate when they get exposed to heat, so make sure you keep an eye on your kiddos if you're at the park with a family reunion and things like that, or if you're at the pool, and also with your more senior family members, make sure that they have opportunities to cool and check on them to make sure their AC is still working.
Being prepared is key, Malik says. Stay indoors, but if you must be outside, make sure to stay hydrated.
There's all those electrolyte replacement supplements you can do. Don't go too heavy on those, but make sure you mix those in with water as you're drinking throughout the day. Wear loose, light-fitting clothing, and if you have, wide-brim hats, things you can do to keep the sun off of your face.
And Malik says that other serious symptoms include a lack of heart rate, or a lack of increase in heart rate, and then a lack of sweating. If you have those symptoms, make sure that you get medical attention immediately. In Indianapolis, I'm Malia Van Ostrand for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
Thank you, Malia. And we turn now to News 8's Kyla Russell. She's live today behind the wheel to tell us how this extreme heat could land your car in the shop.
Yeah, hey there, Gina. I am here outside in my car that's been baking in the heat all day. I want to show you how hot it can get with this thermometer right there. You're looking at 92, 90 degrees. Now, experts tell me that when you start reaching those over 90 degrees temps, that's when your AC unit in your car has trouble cooling off, which then could lead to the AC unit being stressed and then possibly failing.
In the last week or so has been substantially busier with our AC servicing. It feels like a lot of them, so we can't keep up.
You're looking at a few dead AC compressors on the floor of Tyler Automotive. Owner Phil Westrick tells me those are just from the cars that have come in today and yesterday.
A system that seems like it's working okay shows its faults when it can't do any more than that basic cooling.
He says aside from your car just not cooling, there's a few key things to watch out for.
If you hear any abnormal noises, if you have a smell that's new, it's those core senses, if something just doesn't seem right, ask a professional.
And if your unit does die, it could cost you a pretty penny.
Could be free. It could be a couple $1,000s. It's a very, it's an extensive component of the system, and outside the engine and transmission itself, it is probably the third most complex system.
And to make sure that doesn't happen to you, there's a few things you can do. First up, make sure you're regularly getting your car serviced. Second, install a fresh air filter. Third, get tinted windows. And finally, when you start the engine,
is that first minute or two of the drive, actually lower your windows. Because the car is about 100, probably 120, 130 degrees inside. Even if it's 95 degrees outside, when you get all that hot air out, you're making the AC have to work less to cool it down.
Now, another thing that experts tell me is to not use those canned refrigerants that you can get from auto body repair shops, because without a professional gauge, you may end up using too much, which then could lead to stress on your AC unit. Reporting here in Indianapolis, I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
All right, good advice, Kyla. Thank you. And many communities have cooling centers available during this heat wave. We've made it easy for you to find those places to cool off. For the full list of locations and hours, just scan the QR code on your screen. Now that opens the As Seen On section of our website, WishTV.com. There we have several stories on the dangers and a link to a site that has cooling centers across the state.